Hi folks, my name is Mr. Kuchak and I am your art teacher. Before we begin, let me go over our class rules. We have 3 rules at Elk Lake. Be ready, be responsible, be respectful. We are ready in the art room when we come in, sit in our assigned seats, and get quiet so that we can learn about art. We are responsible in the art room when we follow directions and take care of our supplies, and we clean up any of our messes. We are respectful when we use kind words like please and thank you, and when we value other students' artwork. Supplies you will need for today's lesson. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Hi folks, today we are going to do some drawing, and what we're going to do is start off with some shapes. So we're going to start off with a square. So we're going to go up and over, and then we're going to come down and back. Once we have our square, we want to do another square. So a square and a square. Square, 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 square. Then we're going to use the letter T. T. Next we want to do a rectangle. So a rectangle is going to be like 2 squares. So we don't want it just to stop underneath here. We want it to come out a little bit further. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to draw the top part first, so I know how big I want it. And then I'm going to come down and down so that they're the same. And then I'm going to connect. Once I have those, I'm going to do a little wheel, then I'm going to do a large wheel, Next, I need 2 long rectangles. So I'm going to start with the letter L. So I'm going to do the bottom of the L, and then I'm going to come up really, 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 really tall. And then after that L, I'm going to do a 7. L, 7. Connect, connect. Out, up, back. And then we just need to put a box on our forklift. So we're going to come out, and I'm just going to put like an X on the box just to make it look a little different than the rest of it. So that's our first vehicle that we did today. We did our little forklift there. So I'm going to come over to this part of the paper, and I'm going to start off with a really big square this time. So I'm going to start off with a 7, and then I'm going to connect with an L. So one big square. Then I'm going to come down a little bit. I'm going to draw a line all the way across. I'm going to split this in the middle, and then I'm going to do line, 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 line. Once I have those lines, I'm going to go across, now the next part that I want to do is I want to do a triangle over here. Sometimes though triangles can be a little tricky. So if we break our triangle up into kind of an L shape, it's a lot easier. So over here, I am going to, give me 1 second so I can see how I want this. I'm going to do an L over here. Once I have my L, if I connect it, then I have my triangle. Once I have my triangle, now I'm going to once again use some of my L's. So I'm going to use a lazy L, kind of like it's laying down. And then I'll do my 7. And then I'm going to take this all the way over here, another lazy L, just laying around, being lazy. And then I'm going to come up and over. Now I'm going to add a little circle here, a little circle here, and a little circle there. And the last thing that I need are some wheels. So I'm going to do big circle, little circle, big circle, little circle. And then for my skid steer or bobcat, I'm going to add some grippy tires on there so it can really tear through everything. So I'm going to add what we would call a texture to the tires with little tiny C's all the way around so that it can really get through everything. Now the nice thing about this is we kind of have it in an action mode where it looks like it's dumping something. So if we use the number 3 and we just add a couple of bumps, we can make it look like it's filled with dirt, and we can even have that dirt kind of falling down into kind of a big pile. Maybe they're trying to fill something in, maybe they're getting ready to move the dirt around. This way we can get a lot done. Next, I'm going to start with a rectangle. So I'm going to start right here with a rectangle. Once I have my rectangle, I need a little bit of a square over here. So I'm going to do a square on this side. Now at this point you can look at that and say, boy, that almost looks like a delivery truck. If I was going to start off doing a delivery truck, yes, that's exactly the way that I would begin. But I'm making something a little different, so I will show you how that goes in just a minute. Now I'm going to use the letter T over here, and then I need one of my favorite shapes to draw. It's called an L on a stick. So we do an L on a stick, and that way we have the seat. Then we go up, over, down. And as you can see, it's starting to look a lot like a tractor. So if I took one of these big wheels and put it there, and if I took a little wheel and put it up front, I'd have a tractor. But you already know how to do those types of wheels. So we're going to try to do something a little different. And the difference that we're going to do is we're going to put treads on the bottom, or tracks. It's a lot like a rubber band, an oval shape. So I'm going to start here in the front, curve down, around and back, and then I'm going to fill it in with some big circles. So think about the tracks on the bottom of a tank where it can kind of go everywhere. Once I have those big tracks, I'm going to come in with some little ones. So I'm going to come in and just do some little circles in between to kind of keep it on there, to keep it from falling off. We want those little guide tracks, guide wheels in there. Now, for this, you can see it's looking a lot like a bulldozer. So we need to put something up front that it can push. So we're going to use our L again. So make it your L, and then connect. And then we need to connect back. So all we're going to do is connect. And then you can put stuff in there. So let's say you had a cloud with a J and with an L. It would look like he's moving a tree around, or maybe there's some extra dirt in there and other stuff. So maybe they're getting ready to clear some areas. Alrighty, I'm going to switch papers so that you can kind of see what I'm working on, and I will be right back. Okay, there we go. I was running out of room, and if I flip it over with the Sharpie, it's going to come on the back. So it's just easier for me to grab another piece of paper. So our next one, we're going to start with a rectangle. I know we've gotten a lot of practice with the squares and the rectangles and the circles, and that's important because we're drawing with shapes. By drawing with shapes, if you want to make something really big, you just use a bigger shape. If you want to make something really small, you use a smaller shape. But when you start drawing with shapes, you start looking at things and you can say, oh, that looks like this. If I add this, I might change the picture into something else. And that's why we draw with shapes, so that you can constantly change and improve your drawing. Now the next part that we're going to do is a 7 up on top. So once we have our 7, we're going to come down diagonally. And then we're going to add a square. Add a T. And then we're going to do little square, circle, 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 circle. And then we're going to do circle, circle, circle. Connect, And now we need to use the letter J. We're going to come down in J. Now with our tow truck here, the problem that we're running into is that little hook would break, so we need to make that into a bubble letter. We just come up to make it look a little bit thicker. And we need a flashing light on top. So the way that I do that is I do a rainbow first, and then I make it into a letter A. So I do a rainbow A. And then it's blinking, so the lights are on and off, on and off, on and off. And the way that we handle that is with dashed lines. So those dashed lines make it look like it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. If it was nighttime and you had, let's say you had the headlights on, you could do something like this, where you have the headlights coming through. And then if you take a crayon, and I don't seem to have, let me see if I have a yellow one here. I don't have a yellow one here, but I have a bright green one. And you take a crayon and you add some color through there, it'll look like the headlights are on. Even over here, if it's blinking, you can add some color through there and it'll look like the lights are on a little bit more. Now the next few, well, let's do this one. We're going to start off, and it's a shape that you've seen before. So we're going to start off with a rectangle. And then in the front, we're going to do a square. So rectangle, square. It looks a lot like a delivery vehicle, and this one is definitely a delivery vehicle. So we're going to add in a bumper, a little square, little square. We're going to add in our wheels, circle, 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 circle. So now we have like all the bottom stuff done. Now we're going to start working on our way up. So the first thing we want to do is we want to add a windshield in here. So we're going to start at the top, and we're going to come in diagonally. We're going to add a little line here. And then we need people to get in and out of here. So think of like sometimes vehicles that come to your house, like the UPS or other types of delivery trucks, even FedEx, they're going to have a little door on the side. Now this is a special delivery vehicle, so it has a little bit more to it. So we need to add a line there, and then we need to add some windows, because our delivery vehicle here is a school bus. This way we can add some designs on there. It delivers students to the school. You can write in your school name here. So if you're at Elk Lake, E-L-K-L-A-K-E. You can even put in your bus number, and that way you can get that moving to the school. Okay, let's do two more and then we'll be done here. So the next one, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a parenthesis. So a parenthesis is kind of what we use to make a smiley with an emoji, or we use it in math class too. So it looks kind of like a half curve. And we're going to come up a little bit longer. So don't make it too short. We want to come up a little bit longer, and we want to do another parenthesis right across from it. Now I made that one a little bit bigger, so to solve that, I'm just going to make this one a little bit bigger so that it blends in. Next I connect, so I'm going to connect 1, 2. So it should almost look like a Band-Aid, and we're going to make it look a little bit more like a pill instead. So we're going to curve because it's rounded, curve because it's rounded, and we're going to add some lines. Next, we want to do an L. Now the L that we're going to do, sorry about that, I lost it from the camera. We're going to come down and we're going to come out a little bit. So we come down and over so that we have our L. And then we do another L, so LL. We do another L, and we want to be up to the top at least. You can even make it a little bit taller. So we could just come up a little bit more. And then think of the front of the shape like that. It's almost like the front of a D. So we want to use D for down. We're going to start here and we're going to go D down. Once we have our D for down, we add our bumper. And then we're going to add in an L. D for down. Now we need to use a broken 7. So a broken 7 is a 7 that comes up and it breaks down. And then we come all the way down. Here you can add 2 little lines, and you can even add some little dots in there. And then right in here, not all the way up to the front though, right in here, right in between this space, we want to put a rectangle. So we're going to come down, over, up, and back. Now we're ready for all of our circles, and there's a lot of circles. So we have 1 circle, 2 circles, 3 circles, 4 circles, 5 circles. That way we have our water truck, our milk truck, our fuel truck. Our truck is ready to roll. Now our last one that we're going to do is going to be right over here. So I'm going to start pretty close to the edge because my truck's going to come this way. So I'm going to start right here with a rectangle. And I'm making it a little bit smaller. Really, the size should probably be about this size, but I know I don't have a whole lot of room here. So I do a rectangle, and then I'm going to do a square. And then I do a square. So rectangle, square, square. And then what's different though is we're going to do another square here. Another kind of square, kind of rectangle. And then we need another little square. And then we do a circle. And a circle. And let's do another circle. We got some room in there. Now we can start adding some stuff. So we're going to do 3 circles here. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do 2 lines down. 1, 2. Let's connect these together. I think our fire truck needs some hoses, so we're going to come down, back, and forth. We can also fit another one in here, but I'm not going to go all the way to the end. I'm just going to start here, touch, and down. And then we need our door. So we're going to add a little bit of a design there. And then we're going to come up, over, down. We also need to be able to look out. So we're going to come in, up, and back. And then we also need our flashing lights. So to do our lights on top, diagonal, diagonal, connect. And then remember, flashing lights, they are flashing. Now, here's the problem that we're going to run into. A lot of times when people draw vehicles, they want to put them on a road. They want to have an action to them. So they'll do this. They'll just draw a line underneath them. Well, if you draw a line underneath it, it means that this vehicle is up in the air because it's not touching your road. Well, let me see if I can get it in there better. It looks like it's jumping in the air, and it looks like these two are going to go crash. What you can do, if you did that by accident, or you just didn't know, if you have road underneath it, and you also have road behind it, it makes it look more realistic. So I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to draw another road back here. I'm going to stop when I hit my vehicle. Now I have road underneath it. Now I have road behind it, so it looks like it's more on the road. Now, if you have a vehicle moving, you might want to do something like speed puffs. So you can do puffs, 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 and it makes it look like time has gone by because it's moving. You can also do what we call the blur. So the blur is when you do lines behind it, and it looks like it's moving really quick. Now let's try something else up here. So if I do a big bumpy curvy line, it looks like that school bus is ready to jump right into there. So I'm going to take I'm going to put another road behind it. That way, it looks like it's moving. And behind the tow truck, I'm going to do what's called the zoom. So the zoom, we start off, it looks like this. So when we come in, it's going to curve and curve, and we can even write zoom in there. It's kind of like in cartoons when they take off with a little tornado. If we look at it, it's like a sideways 6 and a sideways 9. So the way that I do this is I start with like an E, I come up and down, and I go towards it, and then I do the opposite. I come up, down, and towards it. So we want that kind of like mini kind of tornado look, and we just write zoom, Z-O-O-M, and I understand I wrote that upside down. I will just cross that out, and I will write it the right way for you. Zoom. Sorry, I'm trying to write it upside down and backwards so that you can see it on my camera the way that my camera is set up. The last things that we can do is we can add some things like the dashed lines on a road. We can make them move. We can have people inside our vehicles. Remember, we have a lot of stuff that we can do. You can take and add vehicles together. Maybe some vehicles are working together. So when you're working today, so when you're done with your picture, when you're done drawing out your picture, you can go ahead and color them in. You can add some backgrounds to them. You can make them do stuff. You can have maybe this vehicle is trying to get to, it's a water tanker and it's trying to help out the fire truck. And where is the fire truck going? So lots that you can do today. Remember, they're just drawn with shapes. So if you were going to draw, let's say I wanted to do a really, really big skid steer. I can start off, let me turn the paper this way so I have room. Actually, let me do something a little bit more rectangular, so I think that's going to fit in there a little bit better. Let's say I was going to do a really large school bus. I can start off with a rectangle. I can start off with a square. I can do a little square. I can do a little square. I can do my circles and my circle. I can do my circles and my circle. I can do my door. I can do my line. I can do my windshield. I can do my doors and my windows. Once again, I can add a road behind it. I can add some speed lines behind it. There's no difference between this one and this one. The only difference is I used a larger shape. If I wanted to make a teeny tiny one, I just changed the size of the shapes. And I can make a really small one. So maybe there's a mouse bus going to mouse school and we have a giant bus going to giant school. You can change your sizes depending on what you need. So I want you to practice with shapes. Feel free to rewind the video if you missed anything. Feel free to try it more than once. That's how we practice. That's how we get good at things. So keep up the good work. Can't wait to see it. Have a good day.